Thank you, Congressman Delahunt. Thank you to the Cuba study, the Cuba Working Group for this honor. You're right. I am a Cuban American, but I'm a member of a much smaller minority because I'm also a Republican who lives in Boston. I am the son of a Bay of Pigs prisoner, the brother of a Bay of Pigs prisoner. My uncle was 10 years in prison in Cuba as well, and I have 3 cousins who were in the Bay of Pigs and also in prison. So I guess I'm not your typical wild-eyed liberal from Massachusetts. H.R. 874 is an extremely important act because for years the policy of the United States towards the island of Cuba has lacked complete common sense. It makes no sense whatsoever from any perspective, including geopolitical, to isolate one island of 11 million people on the entire globe that Americans cannot travel to. Try to explain that to somebody in Iowa. Try to explain it in California. Try to explain it to anybody. It makes no sense. It's bad for the United States to be associated with this policy, and it's bad for the people of Cuba. For years, the policy of the United States towards Cuba has been cornered by a small group of congressmen and senators from both parties, I might add, but mostly from my own party, who are reliving the Cold War on a yearly basis, despite the fact that we're in the year 2009 and the Cold War is over. We now face an island 90 miles from our shore who's in, like as I mentioned, in a process of transition. And isolating the people of Cuba from the United States is an extremely bad idea at a time of potential change in Cuba. Why do I say that? Well, for one thing, we don't know who the next leadership class will be in Cuba in a post-Castro world. We don't have ties to these people. We don't have enough Americans in Cuba getting to know who will be the people who will be playing the role in the upcoming whatever change happens to Cuba. So we can either be a spectator or we can help influence that change. And that change will happen on a people-to-people level. Secondly, isolation is a two-way street. The United States is also isolated from not only the Cuban people, but from the rest of the world. It's almost embarrassing to have to describe American policy towards Cuba, particularly as it relates to travel, to anyone outside of the United States. Because again, I go back, that doesn't make any sense. So I think that having H.R. 874 is an important step. There's also a similar bill in the Senate. This law needs to be passed. I mean, President Obama mentioned, I remember a number of times, that there were no Republican ideas or Democratic ideas. There were only good ideas. This is a good idea. And by the way, lifting the travel ban is consistent with anyone who believes that government should not be involved in the private lives of its citizens. It is completely contrary to the ideals of anyone who believes in small government. So I support this bill. I do it from the viewpoint of someone who wants change in Cuba, but someone who also wants what's best for the United States. And this is something that is good for the United States, and everyone should support it. Thank you.